Thank you for joining us to celebrate Veterans Day and honor the exceptional county employees who have served our country, as well as veterans throughout Maricopa County, Arizona, and around the United States. Veterans Day is a truly meaningful day here at Maricopa County. It gives us the opportunity to acknowledge and thank each of the 1,064 county employees that identify as veterans, reservists, and members of the National Guard. That's almost 8% of our entire county workforce. These employees support the county across a wide range of departments, from security services to animal care and control. Here to honor their service today, we have 3 members of the Board of Supervisors: Chairman Thomas Galvin, Vice Chair Kate Brophy-McGee, Supervisor Debbie Lesko. Thank you all for being here. Also joining us today, County Manager Jen Pekorski and Assistant County Managers Zach Shira, Darcy Kober, Marcy Flanagan, and Blanca Caballero. Thank you all for being here as well. We're going to start today off with a flag ceremony presented by the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard. Then afterwards, Sergeant Lenny Miller will sing the national anthem. Please rise.
Mark time, march. Right turn, march. Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof without night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Right turn, march.
You may be seated. Thank you very much to MCSO Honor Guard members, Sergeant Chris Foster, Sergeant Christina Cucharello, Sergeant Ariana Ontiveros, Officer Peter Machad, and Sergeant Andre Jordash for a moving flag ceremony. I'd also like to thank Sergeant Miller for his beautiful rendition of the national anthem. It is now my honor to introduce the chairman of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, District 2 Supervisor Thomas Galvin.
Thank you, Jesse. Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day in Maricopa County. It's a beautiful day to honor our veterans as they deserve. I also want to thank Vice Chair Brophy McGee for being here this morning and Supervisor Lesko, and I know on behalf of all of our fellow elected officials, we appreciate and honor not just the employees of Maricopa County who are veterans, but everyone here in Maricopa County who's a veteran. I'd like to ask any veterans or active service members present to please stand and be recognized. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you. You may have a seat. I'm pleased to see you all here. Your bravery and commitment are exemplary, and I'm grateful for your dedication to our country and to Maricopa County. Today, I cannot help but think of my own family members who have served in the military, including my father and grandfather who served in the Navy. Our veterans have made many sacrifices to serve our country, and their families have made sacrifices as well. And my colleagues on the board and I are committed to supporting them however we can. In fact, Maricopa County has been designated an Arizona Veteran Supportive Employer by the Arizona Department of Veteran Services and the Arizona Coalition for Military Families. We know that transitioning from service to civilian life comes with challenges. That's why we offer training and education programs, employment opportunities, affordable housing, and wellness services. We're also granting veterans free admission to our beautiful county parks on Tuesday, November 11th, so they can enjoy our beautiful county with their loved ones. Our first speaker for today's ceremony is Detective Robert Lopez. Detective Lopez serves as a violent crimes detective in the Tempe Police Department's Criminal Investigation Bureau and an avionics officer for Marine Aviation Logistics Squadron 41 in Fort Worth, Texas. Detective Lopez's journey began in 1999 when he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. Throughout his military career, he has been deployed to Southeast Asia and the Persian Gulf in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. In 2016, he transitioned to a new chapter in his career and his life by joining the city of Tempe as a communications dispatcher. He later graduated with honors from the Arizona Law Enforcement Academy and has excelled as a patrol officer, bike squad member, and now violent crimes detective. His commitment to excellence, honor, and integrity has been recognized through various awards, including the Distinguished Service Ribbon, the Life Saving Medal, and the Kyle Breyer Veteran in Public Safety Award. Please join me in welcoming Detective Lopez to the podium. A few remarks, please. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Let me get myself set up. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Robert, and it is truly an honor to be here with you today. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to speak on such a meaningful occasion. Veterans Day is about honoring all those who have worn and those who still wear the uniform of the United States Armed Forces, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and yes, the Space Force. I think it is fitting that Veterans Day falls in the same month as Thanksgiving, because gratitude reminds us of something important. Freedom is not free. It's paid for with the blood, sweat, and sacrifice of patriots. This week, we'll see parades, flags flying high, and maybe even a few discounts at your favorite coffee shop. If you see a veteran, express your thanks, and if they're comfortable with it, give them a hug. That small gesture might mean more than you realize. Today, I'd like to share 3 lessons I've learned and I'm still learning through life, service, and faith. My hope is to give you a little inspiration and maybe a smile along the way. First, life is fleeting and often unpredictable. I left Los Angeles as a 17-year-old back in 1999, a whole different century now. If you had asked anyone then, they would have asked and thought about where I was heading, they would have said UC San Diego. But little did they know I was following my high school sweetheart into the military because I wasn't ready to end that relationship. That decision took me around the world. I married that sweetheart, and we're raising 5 kids. Thank you. I've seen just about everything life can throw at you. I've owned 4 homes, 1 in Hawaii, which sounds glamorous, but until you have to short sell it. I've been promoted from enlisted Marine to Chief Warrant Officer, and I've served 26 years total between active duty and reserves. I became a Christian pastor and started a law enforcement career at the age of 35. Life's a storm, and it has been real. I've celebrated the joy of learning that we were expecting twin girls on Valentine's Day, and I felt the heartbreak of losing one of them at 28 8 weeks into the pregnancy. I've missed only one of 6 deployments. That one was to Afghanistan, and that's because my commanding officer wanted me to grieve that stillborn twin. And that was the one where my squadron came under attack at Camp Bastion, and my commanding officer was killed in the line of action. As the Count of Monte Cristo said, life's a storm, my young friend. You will bask in the sunlight one moment and be shattered on the rocks the next. What makes you a man is what you do when the storm comes. Storms will come, but they test our foundation and they help us to rebuild stronger and on what truly works. The second thing, enjoy your life. The simple pleasures of work, family, and nature. I enjoy my morning. When I'm feeling manly, I take a black cup of coffee. When I'm feeling a little fancy, I add a little cream. I love watching my oldest son finish 1,000-piece puzzles and hearing my eldest daughter play the violin. I've seen the sunrise on Hawaii and the sunset in Iraq. I've stood on Mount Fuji above a sea of clouds and seen even more stars over Wake Island that I could even count. I've flown over Yuma in an Apache helicopter, jumped out of a C-7 over Fort Benny, chased a suspect in a golf cart down the Papago Mountains on a police mountain bike, and I've 3 for 3 in foot pursuits. Thank you. All exhilarating, but some with a lot more sweat, and I'll let you decide which ones those are. I've stood at Police Week, Candlelight Vigil in Washington, D.C., as an honor guard member, and a sacred reminder that our service always has a cost. In a few short days, my beloved Marine Corps turns 250 years old. Hoorah. I'll raise a toast to the health of the Corps and probably to my wife, the most beautiful woman I know, who still shares a cider Corps beer with me even after all these years. As Ferris Bueller once wisely said, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Enjoy today. That's why it's called enjoy every day as a gift. That's why it's called the present. Enjoy your family, your calling, and the blessings that are around you. And finally, fear God and keep his commandments, the ultimate purpose of life. Romans 13:1 says this, let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God. I serve my country as a Marine. I serve my city as a police officer. I do both to the best of my ability, believing that my ultimate commanding officer is Jesus Christ. Some mornings I wake up, I feel like a 1, and then I have to remind myself that God tells me I'm a 10. And when I start with what he says, it turns out a lot better. My purpose is simple, love God and love others. Watching God work in my life and in others reminds me of who I'm called to be. Faith keeps me grounded, forgiveness keeps me free, service keeps me grateful. You were made by God and for God, and until you understand that, life really doesn't make much sense. In closing, Veterans Day began because the world was at war, and that war ended on November 11, 1918. And since then, we've honored those who served and those who continue to protect the peace purchased by that victory. That generation learned 3 things. Life is unpredictable, but worth living. Family and freedom are worth enjoying, and faith in God gives us hope that tomorrow will be better. I hope I've offered a little encouragement, a little laughter, and a reminder that gratitude and faith still matter deeply in this great nation. Thank you. God bless you. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you. Thank you. We have something here for you as a token of our appreciation. This is a gift from Maricopa County. Trust me, there's really good stuff in here that you can't see. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you. Don't worry, Lieutenant Neville, we have one for you too. Thank you, Detective Lopez, for your inspiring words and taking the time to be here today. And of course, we appreciate your service to your country and to our state. And as you talk about loving others, it's serving others as well, and that's what you've done throughout your adult life, so thank you so much. Next, I'd like to introduce you to our second guest speaker, Lieutenant Ryan Neville from our very own Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. Lieutenant Neville enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 2000. After graduating from the Marine School of Infantry Combat Training Battalion, he was deployed to Iraq in 2003 with the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force as part of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Upon returning from deployment, he applied to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office and was hired first as a patrol deputy, working his way up over the years to also serve as district detective, civil detective sergeant, and finally, lieutenant. In 2023, he was transferred to the Sheriff's Special Investigations Division to serve as their HITDA Initiative Commander, putting him in charge of all narcotics investigations. His main focus is to intercept drugs being smuggled into our community and dismantle the criminal networks profiting from this illegal enterprise. Excuse me, it's a little windy here. And most recently, Lieutenant Neville and his task force agencies targeted huge drug trafficking operations in Phoenix. They seized over $5 million worth of drugs, including 1.1 million fentanyl pills. This is over $5 million worth of drugs, and this is a huge drug trafficking operation. Over 400 pounds of methamphetamine were also seized, as well as dozens of legal weapons. Just absolutely mind-staggering, these numbers that we're hearing, and that's just one example. And as we know, every single day at the County Board of Supervisors, we're providing the resources for the Sheriff's Office to go after these bad guys on a daily basis, which means that folks like Lieutenant Neville are putting their lives on the line every single day to protect us and our families. Please join me in welcoming Lieutenant Neville to the podium.
I do want to emphasize that the only thing I'm usually at danger of receiving is paper cuts, potentially a Charlie horse in the back of the leg. My guys are the guys that do all the work. Good morning, Chairman Galvin, honored guests, fellow county employees, fellow veterans, and most importantly, my fellow Marines. There we go. When I was initially approached about this project, the Maricopa County Communications team was looking for a, quote, highly decorated hero type to be interviewed. And joined some of my brothers and sisters in arms in giving a brief speech. I quickly advised her that I'm not that guy. I am, as I put it, just a guy who did my job. A guy that Major Dick Winters from Band of Brothers fame said served in the company of heroes, but just a guy. This is not to say I'm not proud. To the contrary, I've always been proud of my service, for years signing off in correspondences as former Sergeant of Marines. I joined in the summer of 2000, enlisting in the Marine Corps like my dad in 1968 before being deployed to fight in Vietnam, and my cousin in 90 before being deployed to fight in Desert Storm. In fact, aside from a couple of grandfathers who both served in the Army, one who saw combat in the Pacific and the other who was at Normandy and later Bastogne, you could say the Marine Corps was a family business. My brother-in-law, God rest his soul, a Marine who went to Iraq during the same deployment period as myself. My brother from another mother and godfather to my girls, a Marine who was in my platoon. In fact, my great-great-grandfather was actually the 14th Commandant of the Marine Corps and a recipient of the Medal of Honor during the Mexican-American campaign. He even has a few streets named after him, including one on Marine Corps Recruit Training Depot in San Diego. And while this sounds really cool to say from behind the safety of a lectern over a microphone to a crowd, I can assure you when you're in recruit training and your drill instructors find out about this, it loses quite a bit of its cool factor. When I completed my enlistment and was honorably discharged from the Marine Corps, I already knew I wanted to work in law enforcement, so I immediately came home and began submitting my application to MCSO, was the first agency to call me back. I was assigned my background investigator in February, was given my academy start date on all things my birthday in late March. It was made abundantly clear that this was abnormally fast, and the reason for this was because I was a veteran. We were a, quote, safe bet. We already understood the value of discipline and structure. We were already physically fit, although I might have lost a step or two over the years. So that was the first time I can remember MCSO thanking me for my service in a very tangible way. Over the last 20 years, they've continued to thank me in both ways, tangible and intangible. Their tuition reimbursement system has helped me get my undergraduate degree in public safety and emergency management from GCU, go Lopes. At near zero impact to my finances, filling the gaps that the limitations of the GI Bill have. They've given me every opportunity to succeed, challenged me to be better at my job, making me a detective, where I worked everything from simple burglaries to attempted murders, child abuses, even played a small role in putting a child killer in prison for the rest of his life, and bringing closure to the families of his two victims after years of looking for justice. They challenged me to be a better servant leader by placing mentors and leaders like Paul Chigoya, Kim Seagraves, Terry Young, Jim Shinniger, Todd Bates, God rest his soul, in my path to guide me into leadership roles of my own as a patrol sergeant, detective sergeant, and investigations commander. Up to this point, where I currently serve as a pleasure of the sheriff and my dream job as the MCSO HIDA Initiative Narcotics Commander, and in that role they afford me the freedom and invest in me the trust to lead my troops in the important mission of dismantling the criminal organizations that are actively attempting to smuggle and distribute literal tons of poison into our communities. Though the expertise and hard work of that team, many of whom are also veterans themselves, and one large operation alone, as the chairman pointed out, accounted for the seizure of nearly 500 pounds of methamphetamine and dozens of illegal firearms and a million fentanyl pills, a couple drug labs, and dozens of indictments. Best thing the MCSO and Maricopa County, by extension, have done for me to date is a debt I can never repay, as an act I can never be grateful enough for, is filling the gap from my military service when I got out. Service, as we know, is a calling, and one leaves that service, there's a void left behind. In many cases, an MCSO, and by extension the county, gave me the opportunity to focus my drive to serve something greater than myself and my community, and for that I will always be grateful. When I was first speaking to the communications team, I stole a line from my old man, Corporal J. Neville, USMC. The heroes are the guys that don't make it home. I've always managed to one-up my old man. When he shot marksman, I shot expert. When he got out of the Corps as a corporal, I got out as a sergeant. But I know when I'm licked when it comes to certain things. Wisdom from age, especially when it's very advanced age, is one of those things. He told me something recently, and I had to steal that one too. When we as veterans are thanked for our service, for a lot of us it's an awkward feeling. I guess the typical answer would be you're welcome, but you're welcome for my service really doesn't feel right. My old man told me, just look him in the eye and tell him you were worth it. I can't say it any better than that. Our community, our country, all worth it. Thank you for your time this morning, for this recognition, and for being worth it.
Appreciate it. This is for you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, Jesse, you're up.
Thank you again, Lieutenant Neville, and thank you, Detective Lopez. Before we close today, let's take a moment of silence to reflect on the many privileges and freedoms made possible by our veterans. Thank you for attending our Veterans Day ceremony this year. We appreciate all of you coming.